Standard 7 Science, Chapter 6 Measurement of Physical Quantities. This tree diagram consists the compressed version of the entire chapter of physical quantities. Firstly, there are four main topics of physical quantities that we learn. The types of physical quantities, the systems used to measure the physical quantities, the need and the importance for physical quantities, and the causes of error that takes place during measurement. So there are two types of physical quantities, scalar and vector quantity. The shortcut to remember scalar quantities are my cute seed. Since it's quantity, you can think on the basis like weight increment and reduction. So my cute seed, suppose eating seeds reduces the weight. So you only need the size, okay? M for mass, C for charge, TE for temperature, S for speed, E for energy, E for electric current, D for distance, density, etc. You can just remember the mycute seed shortcut for standard 7th scalar quantities. For vector quantities, the shortcut to remember vector quantities are evil magnetic pulses. So you know dal and all are pulses. Usually they are used to reduce weight, but here they are evil. So evil magnetic pulses force mom and dad to weigh more. So they are increasing the weight of mom and dad. Okay. So they are doing the opposite of what pulses usually do. So let's remember the vector quantities. E for electric field, V for velocity, I for impulse, L for lift, M for magnetic field, magnetic for magnetic field, pulse for impulse, force for force, mom for momentum, dad, D for displacement, A for acceleration, D for drag, 2 torque, weight, and there are many more vector quantities, but for standard 7th learning 5 or 6 is enough. Moving on, there are three systems of physical quantities, how to measure them, that have developed over time. The first system that we actually know of was using body parts to measure, like hand span, foot span, etc. Later on, we'll study in this chapter is CGS, that is centimeter gram second, to measure the length, mass and time. Now after CGS system, we got the MKS system, meter, kilogram and second, to measure the length, mass and time. After the MKS system, we have a system which is internationally accepted, the SI unit, which also is a successor of MKS. So of course it has meter, kilogram and second and several other measurements. Now what was the need for standardizing the units of physical quantities? Firstly, to avoid wrongful practices, and secondly, to improve the quality of experiments and of data that was used for experiments. The famous tale of the festival of Onam, if you remember, you will realize why one system, particular system that is common throughout, is required for measuring things. Now, what are the causes of error that can take place? Either you use a wrong device for measurement, or you use the correct device in an improper way or in an incorrect way. So wrong device or improper usage are the causes of error while measuring physical quantities. What is a physical quantity? Basically, any quantity that can be measured is a physical quantity. Two main physical quantities that we'll study are mass and weight. Mass is basically how much matter you have, that is called as mass, and weight is how much gravitational force is required to pull you down and to keep you grounded, that is called as weight. Imagine an anchor is pulling you down, that is weight, okay, it's weighing you down. So your mass will not change, but if the anchor is denser, it's heavier or it's lighter, depends, will pull you down either more, will weigh you down more, or it will weigh you down less. A simple example to remember, you can observe the picture. The mass of the person, the boy with the red cap, is the same on earth as well as on moon, but his weight differs. Now earth is massive. It is much more denser than the moon, so it has far more gravitational pull and it pulls you down more. So you can see the weight of the boy is 100 kgs on earth, while moon is smaller as compared to earth, 81 times smaller as compared to earth. So it pulls you down less. So the weight of the person is 16.6 kgs on moon. But the mass, the space that the boy will occupy on earth and on moon will be the same. It will not change. This is how you can easily differentiate between mass and weight. Just imagine weight is an anchor that is weighing you down, pulling you down, okay? Now mass does not require any particular direction. You will remain the same in north position, south, east, west, right or left position. But weight is pulling you downwards. There is a direction that is required for you to weigh something. It's downward. So weight requires direction as well as magnitude, something that has to be pulled or pushed in a certain direction. Mass is just something, okay? So basically a scalar quantity requires magnitude, so mass is a scalar quantity. Magnitude is just size or extent of something. So mass is a scalar quantity. But when you put in weight, when you think about weight, it's something that's pulling or pushing you in a certain direction, something acting upon something in a particular direction. So you have magnitude, that is something, and you have direction acting on that something. So weight is a vector quantity. The two types of physical quantities that we will learn in this chapter are scalar quantity and vector quantity. Scalar is a simple quantity, very seedha sada, so it just requires magnitude. Magnitude is basically the size or extent of something. So that is called a scalar quantity. Now when you add in direction to that something to give complete information about that thing, it turns into vector quantity. Simply put, a quantity that can be completely expressed by its magnitude alone is a scalar quantity, and a quantity that is expressed completely only when magnitude and direction are both given is a vector quantity. Now shortcut to remember the scalar quantities are my cute seed. M for mass as we had seen before, C for charge, TE for temperature, S for speed, E for energy, E for electric current, D for distance, density, etc. This shortcut is sufficient for standard 7th level of scalar quantities. Let's remember the shortcut for vector quantities. The shortcut is E will magnetic pulses force mom and dad to weigh more. Now remember, for quantities it's basically like dieting or increasing weight. So my cute seed was the lean one, the lesser one, which only requires magnitude, and E will magnetic pulses is for the vector quantities, which will increase the weight. Okay, so you need something extra, which is direction. E is for electric field, V for velocity, I for impulse, L for lift, M for magnetic field, I for impulse, force for force, mom for momentum, D stands for displacement, A for acceleration, D for drag, 2 stands for torque, V stands for weight, etc. Let's learn about the difference between scalar and vector quantities. Now scalar quantities only require magnitude. Magnitude is basically the size or extent of something, basically a numerical value of something. While vector quantities require magnitude, that is the numerical value, and for the magnitude to move in a certain direction, which indicates that they will travel in a certain direction, north, east, west, south. So a simple thing to think about scalar and vector quantities. Let's look at distance. Is distance a scalar or a vector quantity? If I ask you what is the distance between Mumbai and Pune, you can simply tell me it is approximately 150 kilometers or 148 kilometers. For this, I only need this much information, how much is the distance. I only need the numerical value and I'll know the distance between Mumbai and Pune. So I can easily say that distance is a scalar quantity. Now if I have to travel from one place to the other, my place will change from Mumbai to Pune. Displacement is taking place. Besides knowing the distance between Mumbai and Pune, I need to know in which direction I have to travel from Mumbai to Pune. So when I need magnitude as well as direction, when I need a numerical value as well as the direction, then displacement, will it be a scalar or a vector quantity? I am asking you for a numerical value plus the direction in which to move, to change the place from one place to the other. So displacement is basically vector quantity. Now what about speed? If I tell you that a bus is moving 50 kilometers per hour, since I don't know the direction, I just know that it is moving at this speed. Speed is a scalar quantity. But if I tell you that the bus is moving 50 kilometers per hour in the south direction, I give you the numerical value as well as the direction. So this is velocity. Velocity is basically the change in place. So since it's happening from one place to another, there is travel, so it will happen in a certain direction. So velocity is a vector quantity. Now what about force? If I tell you to apply a certain force, you can tell me I will apply force in the north direction, east, west, south, or I can apply force upwards or downwards. A simple force like pushing an object or pulling an object, it will happen in a certain direction and it will have a certain numerical value. So force, which column will it come into? Scalar or vector? I have a numerical value, that is a magnitude, and I have a direction. So force will come in as a vector quantity. Now what about mass? You can have mass, but once you know the mass, you do not need to know about which direction the mass is in. It will not change in any direction, it will remain the same. I just need to know the numerical value of the mass. I do not need any direction. So I am getting complete information with only the numerical value of the mass. So mass just requires magnitude, so it is a scalar quantity. To understand a bit more about mass, you can take an example like you have 50 grams of steel. So can you say you have 50 grams of steel in the east, west, north, south? It just gives you unnecessary information. It will not change in the north and south direction. It will stay as 50 grams of steel. So you just need to know the mass of the steel, which is 50 grams. You don't need the direction in which it is. So mass is basically the scalar quantity. Similarly, it goes for temperature. If I say that the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, I don't need to add the direction 100 degrees Celsius north, south, west or east. Simply the numerical value of temperature suffices. So I'll say that the temperature is a scalar quantity. you can't apply direction to temperature. So temperature will be a scalar quantity. Now what about acceleration? Acceleration basically tells you how fast your velocity is changing with respect to time. So if you are driving a car, both a bus and a car can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour, but a car can reach that speed much faster than a bus. So the car has more acceleration. Now you can accelerate in the north direction, in the east direction, west direction. So you can basically apply direction to acceleration, to the change in your velocity. So acceleration is a vector quantity. Now what about volume? Would you describe volume as being a scalar quantity or as a vector quantity? Can you have 2 liters of milk west or 10 liters of water south or 100 liters of Coca-Cola east? Now here direction cannot be associated or applied to the volume. So since direction cannot be applied to it, only the numerical value, only the size or extent is needed. It only has magnitude. So volume is a scalar quantity. So now you have learned how to distinguish between a scalar and a vector quantity. Both scalar and vector quantities will have a magnitude, that is a numerical value, but only vector quantities will have a direction. So if you can apply and associate the direction to the quantity which has a numerical value, then it is a vector quantity. But if it's not applied or not associated, if the direction is not applied or associated, only the magnitude is required, then the quantity is a scalar quantity. The story behind the festival of Onam clearly highlights the need for standardized measurement. The story of the Onam festival highlights two important things. Firstly, initially, measurement was done using body parts. Second, since everybody's bodies were different, the measurement taken by each person was also different. This highlights the need for standardized measurement. Now, a measure that is standardized for measuring something is called as a standard unit. For example, meter is the specified unit for measuring length. Now a certain distance has been accepted as the standard for 1 meter. Several systems of measurements prevail to measure different quantities. The first one that we'll learn about is the CGS system to measure length, mass, time. CGS stands for centimeter, gram, second. The units that are used to measure length, mass and time are centimeter, gram and second. It is followed by the MKS system wherein length, mass and time is measured using the quantities meter, kilogram and second. MKS system succeeded the CGS system, means it was developed after the CGS system, which means that meter, kilogram and second were accepted as the fundamental quantities, and these three quantities are used to measure all other quantities using the MKS system. Later on, an international system of units built upon the MKS unit was devised and is now used worldwide. This international system of units is based upon 7 fundamental units called the System International. It is also called as the metric system. The names and symbols of the units of the fundamental quantities length, mass and time in this system are mentioned in the picture, 3 of which are mentioned in the following table. It's enough to select a few out of many quantities and standardize their units. Now units of the quantities, length and time need to be standardized. Such quantities are called as fundamental quantities and so their units are called as standard units. Of course, a standard fundamental unit must be available to all and it must not be variable. These are the 7 fundamental quantities that are constant throughout. Length is measured in meters. The unit of mass is kilogram. Time is measured in seconds. The unit of temperature is Kelvin. Electric current is measured in ampere. Luminous intensity is measured in candela. And the amount of substance is measured in moles. What is the importance of accurate measurement? The importance of accurate measurement is simple. To get accurate data, to use accurate data to perform experiments and get acceptable results, also to prevent consumers from being cheated. Now measurement of substances that are precious, of great importance and are used in very small quantities is done meticulously and accurately. Hence it is very important to measure them accurately. Due to advancements in technology, devices that measure very small magnitudes of quantities like distance, mass, time and temperature are available now. For example, distance and time in connection with very important sports competitions, mass of gold, body temperature, etc. We need to measure them to the 10th of the second, to the 100th of the mass, to the 100th of the temperature, etc. To prevent consumers from being cheated, a weights and measures subdivision functions as part of the Food, Urban Supply and Consumer Protection Division of the government. Officers of this subdivision visit different places from time to time and ascertain whether the weights and balances that are being used are proper or not. Means they basically go and check whether the devices are proper and whether they are being used properly or not. It is binding by law to use standard weights and measures. It is also a function of weights and measures subdivision to grant licenses for the production, sales and repairs of weights and measures. There are 2 major causes of errors in measurement. The first one is not using the appropriate device for measuring the quantity or using the faulty device to measure a certain quantity. The second one is not using the device properly. Means the device is proper but you are not using it in a proper manner. How you can identify whether the devices being used are proper or not is simply by checking them from time to time against a standard measure. Or for looking or you can look for identification markers like the stamp or seal of the Department of Weights and Measures, whether the devices being used are stable or not. If a balance is being used, then is the balance upright, whether it's made of metal, how it is being held, if it is a handheld weighing balance. Does the underside of the handheld weighing balance seem proper or does it seem like it's been tampered with? All of these checkings, all of these regular time to time checks help to regulate the devices and to prevent any cheating towards the consumers. Revision for Chapter 6. All about physical quantities. There are 2 types of physical quantities, scalar quantity and vector quantity. Scalar quantities require magnitude, that is basically a numerical value. Vector quantities require the numerical value as well as the direction. So if you find out if I ask you whether mass, temperature and speed, what is the mass, temperature or speed, and and you just give me the numerical value, you cannot associate or you cannot apply direction to it. It is a scalar quantity. If I ask you about velocity, force, displacement, acceleration, weight, besides telling me the numerical value, you can also associate the direction with it. You can apply direction to it. Then you can classify them easily as vector quantities. There are three systems of measuring physical quantities that we will tackle in this chapter. The CGS system, centimeter gram second, MKS system, meter kilogram second, and the SI system, which has 7 units, fundamental ones, that are all three of them are built upon the other. So if CGS came first, then MKS was built upon it, it's its successor, and SI was built upon MKS system. So SI has meter kilogram second, the remaining 4 are Kelvin, ampere, candela and mole. Next we will learn about what is the need and importance of standardized physical quantities. Standardizing the measure of physical quantities. It's basically to avoid wrongful practices and to improve the quality of experiments and data. Also, it is important to accurately measure things that are less in quantity and very precious. So you basically have very less chances to find out their measure or to measure them. Hence, accuracy of the physical quantities is quite important. Now, there are two main causes of error that can take place while measuring. The first one is either you use a wrong device or a faulty device for measuring something, or you use the device in an improper manner, or you tamper with the device, or you just the usage of the device that you do is improper because of less knowledge. So you won't know how to take the readings or properly measure something, so the data you will receive will be wrong and hence your measurement will be wrong. For simply remembering the need and importance of standardized units, remember the story of the Onam festival and how body parts were used for measurement, but how it worked out in a way that the story highlighted that every person's body is different and hence the measurement taken by each person is different. Pause the video and answer the following questions. Pause the video and answer the following questions. Now, you can do a DIY project at home. Make a DIY working model of a weighing scale, machine or balance, whichever name you may prefer, with household materials. You can either make a weighing scale, a working weighing scale, or you can make a kitchen weighing scale, a shorter version of the weighing scale, or you can make a weighing balance as is shown in the pictures. The materials used should be household and it's pretty simple to make them. So do try to make them at home. And also do check them out to see whether they function well or no. Remember, it's to be a DIY working model. DIY stands for do it yourself. If you have to do any cutting work which requires the use of sharp objects or any other thing which requires help, do it in the presence of an adult and take the help of your guardians or any adult present in the house. And make sure that you do it in the supervision of an adult.